try and go the full 60 minutes. I doubt it. See if I get one. I think the only time I did it was when my recording didn't finish.
Oh, yeah. I know, it's hard to get to the full hour.
Okay, so how are you, Angela? We're in our last session.
I'm doing well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you have a good week?
Yes, it was a good week. Yeah, the boys are doing well. Work's been going pretty good, and yeah, it's been a pretty positive week.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. I just thought that we'd start, since this is our last session, we're just going to review what we've done throughout our time together and just talk about moving forward, how it will look now that our counseling sessions are coming to an end. So why don't you just tell me about work this week?
Work was good. I can't remember what we spoke about last time. It seems like a lifetime ago.
You were mentioning that you had taken on the new responsibility of stocking the shelves and that it was more enjoyable for you.
Yes, so I have been doing that, and it's been good. I mean, I know I had mentioned before that I found work to not be very fulfilling and kind of boring, and in the mornings I would have a hard time being motivated, going, that kind of thing. But with this new position, I'm noticing that I wake up and I'm in a more positive mood, and I feel more motivated to go. I really enjoy the aspect of talking with customers and helping them, that kind of social piece as opposed to just them coming to the till and me telling them what they have to pay. It's been really good, and I find the days go by a lot faster as well because they're busier and there's more to do and I have more responsibilities, and it's been nice. It's been really good. And I got a bit of a raise too.
Oh, you did?
So
that's fantastic.
as well. Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. So you've come so far. I think it's good to point out the hard work that you put in. You were the one that approached your boss and told her your desires, and it's moving to more of the independence that you had been looking for. So you should be commended for doing that on your own. And so how did that more positive attitude with work, did it translate over when you got home with the boys? Because you were saying after a long day at a job you didn't enjoy, your patience would be a lot less.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think it's made things more positive kind of as a whole. With my relationship with the boys and with friends, and just kind of a more positive outlook with everything. So certainly with the boys, I go home and I'm able to just be in a better mood to interact with them and engage with them, and I kind of have more energy too because I just feel happier. So I have more energy to play with them and play games and engage with them and do that kind of thing. My relationship with my parents has always been good, but I found since my promotion at work that our relationship has also enhanced as well. I think that I get the sense that they're proud as well and are happy with the direction I'm going and things like that. And same thing with my friends. They've noticed that I seem happier and more positive, and they've commented on how they're really happy with the way things are going for me. So
that's great.
It's been good.
Because you spend a lot of hours in the week, 40 hours in the week where you work. So it's good that you're enjoying it now.
Yeah, I realize that, you spend a lot of time at work, and if it's not something that you enjoy doing, it can, well, as we've spoken about, can really impact everything, right? Because you spend so much time there. So it's been nice that I'm seeing the shift of actually liking going to work and enjoying what I do, and how it shifts everything in my life from negative to a more positive thing.
That's great. And you've told me how important it is that one of your main focuses is you want to be a good mom to your boys, and so it's good to hear you recognizing, the improvement with your patients and that sort of thing. It must feel good.
Yeah, and I see the impact on them as well. Like, I've noticed a lot less tantrums and less no and I did that, sorry. Less tantrums, less crying, less no being their favorite word. They just seem a lot happier as well.
Great. And how has their week been with their dad? The last time we met, Dad had picked them up and had them for a sleepover, and you had worked on, on the conversations where he would say something that would anger you, just kind of letting it go and processing it afterwards. How's that going?
It's good. They had a really good weekend with their dad. They went to the zoo. They went to the science center. He kept them really busy. So, needless to say, they came home quite tired, which was nice.
Oh, good.
And he's been quite respectful and civil towards me, and he kind of acknowledged the way that he had been handling things before and how that was not really appropriate ways of handling things. So I think he's come a long way as well. And I think that a piece that helped to that was my being able to not really engage in his negativity and be able to step back and just, pick my battles kind of thing. So, I feel like, our relationship will never be the way it was before, but I think we're getting to a point of being able to co-parent in our own separate worlds and our separate lives and be able to be civil and respectful towards each other. Overall the visit went really well, and he's agreed to take them every weekend now moving forward. So that'll be a good break for me, and I think we might look at maybe a different setup when they're older or whenever we decide to change things. But for now, it's going to be the week with me and weekends with him.
That's great. So I'm hearing a lot of you recognizing the new way of life, co-parenting, and that you're really taking on your responsibility in that and how that'll look, and at the same time respecting, that he's also, the co-parent in that. And it sounds like your efforts are maybe causing him to be a little bit more aware of his role as well.
Yeah.
So that sounds great. Yeah, great. And so the other thing that was new last time we met was you had registered for a course at Mount Royal. And has that started yet, or is that in the future? How are you still feeling about that?
Yeah, that will start in the new year.
Okay.
So I'm just doing one course at a time because I recognize I don't think I would have much time for much else at this point.
Right.
I'll be working towards my child studies diploma. I think I said last time.
Yes.
Something along those lines.
I think
so. I'll be starting my, first year of that and just doing part-time. So I think it'll look like going to one course in the evenings during the week and having readings and assignments to do outside of class, and I'm just going to kind of chop away at it as I can. And I also made an appointment with the bank to look into student loans and budgeting and making sure that I'm going to be financially okay to take this step.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So you recognized that was a big area, the financing for school, and I imagine the new raise will help with that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. And so are you feeling positive about it? Is there anything that that you're apprehensive about, or?
Yeah, there's mixed emotions, right? Like I'm excited to get started on kind of a new adventure journey in my career and changing things up to doing something that I actually really, I think I'll enjoy. But there's certainly the fear of how I'm going to manage everything and financially and the amount of time that it will likely take me. I have to be really patient in knowing that it will take some time, especially if I can only do one or two courses at once, and knowing that it's not going to happen tomorrow. Whereas I find that typically when I start things, I want it to be done.
Yes.
So I just need to be patient with myself, and so I find there's a lot of mixed emotions around starting school in the new year.
And I guess it's always scary to start something new, but I think you're being very realistic about the time that you have and pursuing it just one course at a time and being patient. That's great to hear. That's wonderful. All right. So, oh, we're just whipping through it.
Okay.
And I know last time that we had talked about your living situation with your parents, and you were feeling that maybe you and the boys were a burden on them, and how did that go since last we talked? Has there been any conversation with your parents or any new information or?
Well, I told them that I was looking into housing.
Okay.
Because I think we had spoken about that
yes.
last time. Yeah. Okay. So I spoke with them about that. And they approached it in a way that I figured they would. Lots of, it's okay, you don't have to, we don't mind you here, we'll do anything to support you, whatever you decide to go, but know that you can always stay here. And so, again, I think this ties into it's more of a me thing than a they thing. I do get a genuine impression that they are completely fine with me staying with them, and they made it very clear that I'm not a burden, and they are more than happy to be a support for me. And they're also quite worried about me going back to school and how I'd be able to manage that, and that during this time I may need them even more so than I do now. So I understood that perspective that they were coming from. So I think for me, it's just this is something that I need to work on, and I'm not quite too sure how to separate those feelings of feeling like I'm a burden and feeling guilty for staying with them, and replacing with the actual reality of it that I'm not a burden and they don't mind me staying there, and that it would actually, I think in the end, be smarter for me to stay there while I go and finish school, just to have their help with, if I need to do an assignment, they can watch the boys financially. There's so many pieces that it kind of weighs out for me staying there to be better, but it's those guilty feeling like I'm like my me stuff that I need to somehow work through to get myself to knowing that decision is probably the best one, and I should really go with it.
So maybe some self-talk, when those feelings come up, just reminding yourself that it's okay, that your parents have, they're actually encouraging it. I think that's great that you've recognized that it's more of, your own feelings and apprehensions.
It's just a matter of overcoming them, I guess. Right? It's difficult when you constantly don't feel like it's your space, that it's your home, like it's, and that I feel like I'm kind of bumming off of them, I guess, is how I feel, right? Like that I'm a grown woman and I'm a mom and I should be able to do this on my own, but I guess I just need to be more accepting of the fact that I don't have to do everything by myself, and I can ask people for help and accept help, and I think that's just a learning piece for me that has always been a struggle.
And then maybe just translating over your views of school, that it's going to be a slow process and little bits at a time, and realizing how far you've come with work and with co-parenting with your ex, and more patience with the boys to recognize that you are making steps to eventually get where you want to go.
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah. Baby steps. All right. And we had also talked a bit about, I don't remember where I was going to go with this. Last time we had talked a little bit about applying for the subsidized housing, but I think it's, that you're realizing that maybe the timing with your parents and your school, that's always going to be there. So, it's something that you can think about down the road, or, you never know when that'll come up. But I think it's good that you recognize where you are right now.
I think I might still, because I did apply, so I think I might still go through with seeing what that would look like, and then making a decision, just seeing what type of house maybe I'd be offered, what I would have to pay, that kind of thing. And then, because right now there's still a lot of question marks around that option, so I think I might look into that a little bit more before I make my final decision, but I am leaning more towards staying where I am and continuing on as I have been.
When it sounds like you're putting a lot of thought into when you're going to make the decision, and that's great.
Yeah.
Another area that we had covered quite a bit was time for yourself. So something that each week it was harder and harder for you to find just time to relax, debrief, do something soothing, enjoyable. How did that go since last week? Did you find any time?
It's hard. And I think it might get harder when I go back to school. So, I think definitely the weekend that the boys were gone was nice. I did a form of self-care that consisted of just kind of doing nothing, which was nice. It was really good. So just kind of watched the Netflix series and stayed in my pajamas, and it was awesome.
That's great. Just on your own.
Just on my own, yeah. And it felt really good, and I felt that weekend of not doing a whole lot and just relaxing and not having the boys, I felt that by the time they came back, I had more energy, and I almost felt rejuvenated.
Oh, that's great.
I guess by the time they got back. So I see the importance of doing that more often, because I like that feeling of not feeling overwhelmed, I guess.
Right.
And feeling like I can take on the world and I'm not always overwhelmed. And I find that having time for me and self-care and that kind of thing really keeps me in that way of doing things, I guess. So I see the importance of it, but I think it'll be a consistent struggle of finding time and making time and doing that, because I'm fearful that in the new year when I start my courses, and if they continue to go with their dad on the weekend, I'll probably be doing schoolwork on the weekend. So that'll kind of eliminate the time that I take for myself. So.
Seizing up those opportunities when they come, you found to feel really, really nice.
Yes. Yeah, you have to kind of really indulge in them to appreciate them. Appreciate every minute.
Yes, definitely. So is there anything new that you wanted to talk about moving forward? Have you given some thought how things are going to go?
Yeah, so I'm excited about starting out school and hopefully changing things up a bit. With work, I think that I see that being pretty much the same until school's done. I'd like to keep my job to have that bit of income, but I don't know, maybe that will change if I do decide to stay with my parents. Then maybe I could take some time being unemployed and get the student loan and then just get school. I don't know. I don't really know what that will look like. But that's definitely an option that I could look at if I do decide to stay with my parents. And I think that my relationship with my ex is evolving. It's slowly improving, which is good.
Yes.
And I feel that with our conversations, I now have some tools and strategies on how to handle conflict if we're to come across it, and what to do that is best for myself and him and for the boys. And I'm feeling excited about some new opportunities that I have coming up, and I think the self-care piece is something that I need to continue to work on.
Yes.
Because I do foresee that being a struggle to make time for self-care. But meeting with that career counselor and kind of getting things on track, I feel like my life has a bit more direction, and I feel a lot more positive about things, and I see the positive impacts in kind of all the different areas in my life since things are kind of shifted in a more positive way.
That's great that you can recognize all those areas of change, and that you can also use those tools in future instances, and that's great to hear.
Yeah.
I guess now I will show you. I've put together very efficient. It's called the termination report, just because we are coming to the end of our sessions. It's just kind of the topics we worked on, the areas of your strengths, and different tools that worked for you. So if you just want to look through it and then what this does is I'll hang on to it. If you ever go to any future counseling sessions, they can contact me, and with your permission, I can send it to them. And it's just a way, just if you ever, go to a new counseling session, they can look at what you've done in the past. So I'll just let you look through that, and then you can. Oh, I can see it.
Oh, right.
Well, I was hoping it's 8:50.
Then this was completely useless. I'm sorry. I was like, we need a clock. I'll put it, and then that has that. Sorry. Alright. My brain's not really.
Thank you.
So
that's great. So yeah, this is here if you ever need it. It's just got all my contact information as well. So now I'd just like to just hear from you how you feel that the sessions have impacted your life from where it was, where it is now, where it's going.
Yeah, kind of like I said, that it's really, I see myself as being a lot more positive and optimistic and motivated. I think when I first came, there was a lot of feelings of sadness and hopelessness and feeling depressed and not sleeping, and there was just a continuum of feeling down and negative about things. But I find that the piece of having a bit more of a hopeful future has really motivated me, but it seems more tangible now. Like I always thought, like, oh, someday I'll go to school, or someday I'll do something different, but I never really followed through with any of those goals because I just didn't. They were just constantly a thought, but there was never any follow through.
Right.
So I find that with a bit more direction and knowing that there's some more concrete things that I can do and look forward to, that has kind of impacted everything. So I feel more excited about my future, and I feel more excited for my kids and how their future will be, because I think ultimately how I do impacts them. So I'm excited for them to have a bit of a better future, and I know that these next couple of years will probably be a lot of hard work, but I think that the end goal will be worth it by doing something that I enjoy as a career, because like you said, work is something that we spend so many hours of our week doing, and it really encompasses our life, and how we feel at work really impacts the world around us. So I think that by kind of starting with that foundation of doing something that I enjoy, and hopefully making a bit more money than I do at the grocery store, and then be able to really make a life for me and my family. So I'm feeling really hopeful and positive about the way things are going, and the way that I'm hopeful that they will go.
That's good. And I notice all these things in you too. So it's good that you can see a more positive outlook and a hopeful future. And you mentioned sleeping. That's something I didn't even touch on. Is your sleeping improved as well then?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with, like I said, having the weekend without the kid. I did a lot of sleeping, and it felt really nice.
You probably needed it.
Yeah, but even consistently on night, I'm not worried about as much. I feel a lot more at ease at nighttime, and I've actually started just YouTubing meditation recordings.
Oh, that's great.
And have those kind of playing in the background, and I'm out within like 2 or 3 minutes of listening to the meditation, and and that just kind of brings me peace and calming, and puts me in a way more relaxed state for bed. And definitely sleep is something that was impacting me a lot before in a negative way, but now that I'm getting adequate sleep and I'm feeling rested when I wake up, it's impacting the rest of my day in a more positive way, so it's good.
So it sounds like you're finding a lot more balance with everything, and now even coming up with tools outside of the sessions that'll help you, so that's great to hear. That's a good one. meditation on YouTube, and it's all free too.
It's free, yeah. Just gotta make sure your battery's charged when you go to bed.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great. So is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap up the sessions, or? Okay. Well, I think it's been great getting to know you and see you kind of moving on and moving forward. And I think moving into the future, unless anything comes up, you're free to contact me. But I'd like to maybe schedule in 2 months, maybe just a quick follow-up. I'll send you an email, just see if things are still going well, and you can email back, you can phone me, but just to make sure that we touch base and see how all the tools are going, and at that time you will have started your new schooling, and
yeah, I'm thinking I might need a bit of support at that time.
Right.
Do you know if there's any like resources within like colleges and universities to help students that, as myself, like single moms, going to school, that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's definitely within the student union, there's a student council, there's counseling for students there. It's all right on the campus. So I think the first thing would be to contact the child studies kind of department. I don't know if secretary is the right word, but they'd be able to point you in those directions of where there's help on there. And again, that's with the termination report if you ever needed anything sent over, so they would have an idea of what tools worked, what where you had successes and that sort of thing.
Okay,
great. But they definitely provide all those services there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know if I'm like, does it have to be like I sign up for a certain amount of sessions, or can I just go like if I'm just having a bad day and I'm feeling like I'm in crisis and just need some support? Like, do you know how that works at all?
I'm pretty sure on the campus that they have both. So if there's something that you wanted standing appointments, there's the ones that you can go just talk to, making an appointment that day. And there's also other student sort of tutors, mentors, that kind of thing. They have a lot of resources if you need help with your assignments, or even talking about juggling, balancing family life, or there's a lot of good resources on the campus. So if you just contact, again, like I said, the department of health, they'll be able to point you in all those directions. And quite often on the campuses they'll have a student orientation, and those are good questions to ask at that time. So I'd recommend going and attending that, and it would be they'd be able to answer all those questions for you. Okay. All right, good. I want to get 3 more minutes. So maybe I'll just talk to you how you felt that our connection, and if you have any feedback for me from our sessions, so that I can take them forward to.
Do you want to use?
Sure. So we can use this session. Is this an extra one?
Yeah, I have more.
Okay. Yeah, so again, you've done one of these before. You can just put where you feel you are on the scale there. This being I did not feel heard, or we did not work on what you wanted to talk about. And on the right side here, you are feeling heard. We worked on what you wanted to talk about. So,
okay. Sure.
Thank you.
That's what I'm here for. Alright. I'm gonna really think about this.
Okay.
Give you really constructive feedback.
Perfect. Oh, you give me very good. That's great. All right, and then I will add this to your file. And again, if anything comes up within the 2 months before I just do a quick email to you, just please let me know. And
sure,
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's almost there. You're good.
Yeah.